Thank you guys very, very much, and thank you to my fellow presenters. It's been fantastic to see everyone again this year and to hear their stories. We all, I think, have headed off in different directions, except for me and Mike. We've headed off in exactly the same direction. But I think the one thing that binds us together is we loved our time at Xavier. We appreciate all that the school did for us, and we hope you guys feel the same way. Very confident, I think we can speak for everybody up here. If you don't feel that way now, you certainly will in the years to come. But enough about you. I want to talk about me. Only for illustrative purposes. I want to take you back to 1977, before any of you were born. I was a senior here in Xavier. It was spring, it was just about this time, it was just starting to get warm. And I was sitting right there. See where it says sneakers required to play? I remember sitting right up on the top stoop there, and I was listening to the Eagles song, Take It to the Women. You guys, I'm sure, don't remember the Eagles or that song, but it was popular back then. And I remember it was the spring, I was graduating from Xavier, and I was so depressed. Because I love Xavier, and I had come here late. I started out at Florida Prep and then switched to Xavier in sophomore year and loved it so much. And I said, you know, this is bad. I'm leaving Xavier. I'm leaving everything I love about it. And, you know, in that moment, you tend to forget how hard it was. I studied Latin, trying to remember that. I studied Russian here. Studied all of the classes. I remember I had some great teachers, but some hard teachers. I remember all the homework I did. But at that moment, I kept thinking, you know, and I'm sure you guys are thinking this way too, this is it. I'm not going to see these friends anymore. We're going to all go off our separate ways, and this part of my life is over. And I remember sitting up there listening to that song, and it seemed to fit the time perfectly. And I felt very melancholy about it. So here's the good news. Good news is I'm 51 years old. I'm back now at Xavier all the time. I'm sure they're sick of me now. I'm still friends with all the guys I knew at Xavier. Like so many graduates, I was married by a priest who was my teacher here at Xavier. Father Keenan, by the way, told me he's done 600 Xavier weddings. So I expect next year, when half of you are married, that you will ask the priest who taught you here to marry. But, you know, I guess what the point that I'm making is that once you sign up to be a freshman here at Xavier, we like to think you're on the life plan. And even though you may go away for a while, and you may go to college, you may have your careers, you may live all different places, Xavier will always be part of your life as it is for mine. And you'll be back here and you'll really, really enjoy it. Today you had a chance to hear from Xavier graduates who talked about their careers, how they got started, what they like about their jobs, and I've just been asked to quickly wrap it up for you, which is pretty funny because I actually remember going to a career counselor because I had no idea what to do with my career, and when I got out of college. So I would like to use some of the tips I did learn and pass them on to you. I want to start with a very quick story to show you what happens to you in the workplace once you actually decide exactly what you want to do. In my 27 years of television, some of the most fantastic opportunities I've had have come courtesy of the United States military. Been able to do a lot of stories with the military over the years. I've enjoyed every one of them, and I've gotten to go places and do things with them that I would never be able to do with anything else. So, February 2007, I'm invited by the US Navy to go with them to Bahrain, to Kuwait, and to Afghanistan to report for WNBC on how the Navy was taking on new missions on that part of the world. The Navy assigned us a public affairs officer, the officer who travels with you, kind of guides you, helps you get through all the military red tape. He was an interesting guy. He had been in the French Army before he was in the US Navy. Major, I don't know how that happens, but he was an interesting cat. And that should have been my first sign of trouble. Anyway, in the course of 5 days, the first leg of our flight to the Middle East got canceled 5 times. Our visit to Afghanistan, that was completely canceled. The helicopter pilot who was supposed to fly us out to the ship in the Persian Gulf, when he landed at Ali Aslam Air Base in Kuwait, he had come from Bahrain. He had gone to the salad bar in Bahrain the night before, and that was a huge mistake. He had food poisoning. He proceeded to be violently ill, in front of all of us. And he recovered, but we were stranded out in this air base for 8 hours. We were supposed to go out into the Gulf, onto a ship, and a task force that was protecting the oil terminals, that was shot to heck. So we were stranded. We had 2 days after that where we were back at Camp Arifjan, which is this big camp in Kuwait, waiting to try and go someplace to do some stories. And you gotta remember, local TV station, you're overseas, you're in the Middle East, the clock is running, the cameraman I was with was making more money than he'd ever made in his lifetime. We're spending money, the station is spending all this overtime, and we have nothing, nothing. And I'm thinking, I am gonna come home from the Middle East and be fired on the spot. And this was what I really, really wanted to do. I wanted to go over there, I wanted to cover what was happening. And I said, we were in so much trouble, I don't know what to do. And I remember at one point, we were playing pool at the Officers Club, and then going to the movies. We played some volleyball. And I'm calling the station every day, and they're saying, how's it going? Are you getting some? Oh yeah, it's great. Great, we had nothing. So I remember sitting there saying, this is just the worst thing. Here I am, I'm begging to do exactly what I want to do, and none of this is going right. And then, just by luck, we had a couple of breaks. A plane that was taking us on our travels in the Middle East turned out to belong to the New York Air National Guard. The New York Air National Guard crew was with them. And we were able to interview them, and they were from our home area. This was lucky. It could have been the Air National Guard from any state, but we got the New York Air National Guard. We did a great story with them. We were finally able to get out into the Gulf and get onto these oil platforms off the coast of Iran and Iraq and do an incredible story on these 2 oil platforms there. And then we were able to also get on board the USS Dubuque, which was part of this task force protecting the oil platforms. We were only there for 20 minutes, but enough to do a story. And then we were able to put everything together, and it came out all right in the end. Didn't think it was going to happen that way, but it came all right. And that's my lesson. I hope that you guys can learn it. Sometimes you're going to get to do exactly what you want to do, and you're going to think, oh my, this is not working out. But if you just hang in there, you'll see that sometimes it comes out better than you might expect. There's also times you'll think you've made the biggest mistake ever, and that you're toast, but in the end you'll come out okay. So you heard today the experience of some people in specific fields, and this is just my guide, some simple tips that come with age. Tip number 1, and I think you just heard this, start your career now. So often people wait till the day after they're about to graduate from college, or the day after their last test, and they start thinking about their careers. And I must admit I did that. I had a great time at Xavier. I love Xavier. And at Xavier every day I could think, you know what, today I'm going to be an accountant. Today I'm going to be a lawyer. Today I'm going to work in television. Today I'm going to play professional soccer. And you can do that because you're a student. But I think starting early, thinking about careers, going to seminars like this are so important because it helps you get on the runway. It helps you start to really think about it instead of just thinking about it like, oh, this could be cool, or this would be nice, to really think about what it could be to do that. And I'm not saying that this has to be, you decide now and then that's it for the rest of your life. But I think the earlier the better you think about it, I think it works out. I spent 3 years after I got out of college sort of experimenting with different jobs. And I wish I could say it was a fun voyage of self-discovery, but I don't think that's really the case. And like I said, you don't have to think, you don't have to say, this is the job I want to do, or based on this I want to do. You may not know, but think about thinking about what you want to do. Just get on the runway to doing it, and I think you're going to find that it's worth it. And there's people going to say, you have the rest of your life, and you certainly do. Don't rush, travel, see the world. And I say, yes, if you can do that, great. But I think even while you're doing that, even while you're seeing the world, even if you spend a semester abroad, or you get out of high school and you say, I'm not ready for college yet, I'm going to work at home, or I'm going to do something. Use that to see what you like, what you don't like. Because I always like to say, time is your friend and time is your enemy in a way. It's great to be young and experiment, but it's also good to think about how could this shape me? Because one day I'm going to want to head out on my own. I'm going to want to make my own living. I'm going to want to move out of my family's house. And you want to look at your career and say, you know, this isn't just something I did just to get by. It's something that I feel has enriched me. And I think that's part of the Xavier tradition. We believe education isn't just getting grades. It's becoming a whole person. I think you can do that with your career as well.